You will follow that by adding your sugar and mixing these two ingredients until they're very well incorporated. You will know when these two ingredients are ready when it has changed color from like a very yellow beige to this very white. You will then add the 5 eggs. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 eggs. I love watching the mixer do its thing. That's just so hypnotic. It's like visual ASMR. After you have added the 5 eggs, you will add the vanilla extract to this mixture. After that, you will add the flour and baking powder mixture a little bit at a time. Here I am using a measuring cup. However, you can use a large spoon or whatever you have handy. The point is to add the flour mixture a little bit at a time. I love seeing the mixture go round and around and around. At this point, the mixture is still very lumpy. You will need to continue to let the mixture mix until it is very smooth. 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 Like this. You know when the batter is ready, when it looks just like this. This batter will be very, very, very thick. I then pour the batter into my pan. As you can see, it is not easy to spread. This batter will not even out in the oven like most batters do. Therefore, it is very, very, very important to make sure that this batter is evenly spread out. This is the reason that I take my time in evening out just poke, 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 poke. After you're done poking, you put the cake to the side and let it cool down. While the cake is cooling, you can make the whipped cream. You add the heavy whipping cream along with the sugar and more vanilla extract. Now, while we watch the mixture create whipping cream, let's find out some facts about Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo, or the 5th of May, is a holiday that celebrates the date of the Mexican Army's May 5th, 1862 victory over France at the Battle of Puebla during the Franco-Mexican War. The day, which falls on Tuesday, May 5th in 2020, is also known as the Battle of Puebla Day. While it is a relatively minor holiday in Mexico, in the United States, Cinco de Mayo has evolved into a commemoration of Mexican culture and heritage, particularly in areas with large Mexican-American populations. Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day, a popular misconception. Instead, it commemorates a single battle in 1861. Benito Juárez, a lawyer and member of the indigenous Zapotec tribe, was elected president of Mexico. At the time, the country was in financial ruin after years of internal strife, and the new president was forced to default on debt payments to European governments. In response, France, Britain, and Spain sent naval forces to Veracruz, Mexico, demanding repayment. Britain and Spain negotiated with Mexico and withdrew their forces. France, however, ruled by Napoleon III, decided to use the opportunity to carve an empire out of Mexican territory. Late in 1861, a well-armed French fleet stormed Veracruz, landing a large force of troops and driving President Juárez and his government into retreat. Certain that success would come swiftly, 6,000 French troops under General Charles Loutrel de Lorenzes sent out to attack Puebla de Los Angeles, a small town in east-central Mexico. From his new headquarters in the north, Juárez rounded up a ragtag force of 2,000 loyal men, many of them either indigenous Mexicans or of mixed ancestry, and sent them to Puebla. The vastly outnumbered and poorly supplied Mexicans, led by Texas-born General Ignacio Zaragoza, fortified the town and prepared for the French assault. On May 5th, 1862, Lorenzes gathered his army, supported by heavy artillery, before the city of Puebla and led the assault. The battle lasted from daybreak to early evening, and when the French finally retreated, they had lost nearly 500 soldiers. Fewer than 100 Mexicans had been killed in the clash. Although not a major strategic win in the overall war against the French, Zaragoza's success at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th represented a great symbolic victory for the Mexican government and bolstered the resistance movement. In 1867, thanks in part to military support and Austrian Archduke Ferdinand Maximilian, who had been installed as Emperor of Mexico in 1864 by Napoleon, was captured and executed by Juárez's forces. Puebla de Los Ángeles was renamed for General Zaragoza, who died of typhoid fever months after his historic triumph there. Within Mexico, Cinco de Mayo is primarily observed in the state of Puebla, where Zaragoza's unlikely victory occurred, although other parts of the country also take part in the celebration. Traditions include military parades, recreations of the Battle of Puebla, and other festive events. For many Mexicans, however, May 5 is a day like any other. It is not a federal holiday, so offices, banks, and stores remain open. In the United States, Cinco de Mayo is widely interpreted as a celebration of Mexican culture and heritage, particularly in areas with substantial Mexican-American populations. Chicano activists raised awareness of the holidays in the 1960s in part because they identified with the victory of the indigenous Mexicans, such as Juárez, over European invaders during the Battle of Puebla. Today, revelers mark the occasion with parades, parties, and mariachi music, Mexican folk dancing, and traditional foods such as tacos and mole poblano. Some of the largest festivities are held in LA, Chicago, and Houston. Many people mistakenly believe that Cinco de Mayo is a celebration of Mexican independence, which was declared more than 50 years before the Battle of Puebla. Independence Day in Mexico is commemorated on September 16th. The anniversary of the revolutionary priest Miguel Hidalgo y Costillas Famoso, Grito de Dolores, a call to arms that amounted to a declaration of war against the Spanish colonial government in 1810. Now, back to the cake. You will pour over the milk mixture over the cake. Now I have actually sped up the video so you can see what it looks like when the cake starts to absorb the milk. This is sped up, so your cake will not absorb the milk as quickly as this one does. I just thought it was a cool visual effect that again has a visual ASMR effect. Once the cake has absorbed the milk mixture, you can add the whipped cream to the top. I sometimes add the entire whipped cream mixture that I've created, like I am now. Sometimes, however, I'll add about 3/4 of the mixture to the cake, and I'll save the rest for later. It is really up to you and what you prefer. Now, you don't have to make your own whipped cream. You can buy the one at the store and add it to the cake if you like. If you don't like whipped cream, you don't have to add it to the cake. Now, I personally prefer a plain Tres Leches Cake. However, some people like to add fruit, like peaches or blueberries. Others like to make a chocolate cake and turn it into a Tres Leches Cake. It really is up to you. this cake so much. Now I know it's kind of weird that a cake would be soaked in milk, but it really is amazing. The cake itself is holds up pretty well to all of the milk, and I'm assuming that's because it has a lot of eggs. And so it's not like if you could just take a regular cake batter and just add the 3 milks to it. The cake wouldn't last, but this cake seems to hold off pretty well. Man, this is good. I love this cake. I can seriously eat it every week. I know this cake is not for everyone, but you should really try it. You should either make it or next time you go out, see if the restaurant has it on the menu. Oh man, it's so good. I like to make sure that I add extra milk to this cake, like extra whole milk. Because one thing that I can't stand is when a Tres Leches Cake has dry spots, and that can happen if you don't add enough milk. Oh man, this is so good. I love it. I put a lot of whipped cream because my husband likes it, but I don't like that much whipped cream on the cake, so I have to usually scrape it off. Or at least some of it off. It's okay though, because he ends up eating it. He really loves whipped cream. And making whipped cream is so easy. If you have a mixer, it doesn't take any time at all. Again, this is literally my favorite cake. And I bet you'll become yours too if you try it. It's sweet, but it's not just straight sugar. You know, because of the condensed milk. I don't know, it's just really good. I made it and I posted a video of, a little short video of me making it on Instagram, and I got so many people asking me for the recipe. You don't have to make your own whipped cream if you don't want to. You can use the one at the store. more satisfying that way. That's a lot of whipped cream. But it's okay. Like I said, my husband will eat it. It will not go to waste, I promise. It's so tough not to get more. I know some people don't like the thought of a wet cake, but I promise you, the texture of the cake in this recipe holds really strong, so it doesn't necessarily feel like you're eating a soggy bread. It just, I don't know, it feels like a regular bread, but like you're eating the cake and the milk at the same time. It's hard to describe, but I promise you it doesn't have a weird texture. And just like that, I finished the cake. That was so good. I'm so glad I made it. Especially for Cinco de Mayo. Anyway, I hope you guys try this recipe. If you do, leave me a comment.